According to a recent survey, only around 1 in 8 British exporters has benefited from the country's Brexit trade pact negotiated with the EU. In a survey by the British Chambers of Commerce Association, published on Thursday, just 12% of exporting firms said the trade pact helped them grow their business, 71% did not. The majority of the more than 1,100 entrepreneurs surveyed said higher costs, more bureaucracy and delays had made the UK less competitive. Almost all companies in this survey have fewer than 250 employees, and these smaller companies are feeling the new hurdles from the trade deal the most, said Association Chief William Bain, according to a statement. The companies have neither the time nor the money nor sufficient staff to meet the additional expense. The association therefore called on the British government to engage in further talks with the EU for simplified checks and relaxed rules, especially in the food sector. In addition, British companies need more support to cope with the new challenges. The trade pact negotiated between Brussels and London at the last minute has now been in effect for a good year. Although it allows goods to move largely tariff-free, and the trade between the EU and the UK has nevertheless become significantly more complicated and is therefore declined. And I have to disappoint them, there will be not big relaxation. The relaxation is only for members. England's importance for the European waste incineration market as a major exporter of alternative fuels, so-called RDF, is dwindling rapidly. Within 3 years, British RDF exports to mainland Europe have more than halved, from just under 3.2 million tonnes in 2018 to under 1.5 million tonnes last year, according to data recently published by the British Environment Agency. Deliveries to Germany and the Netherlands in particular have been declining sharply for years. The main target country is now Sweden. The most important customer at company level is the German EEW Group. English RDF exports had already peaked in 2016. With the intensive construction of new waste incineration capacities in Great Britain, the export volumes developed backwards from then on. But it was only the corona crisis that began in 2020 and Brexit that took place at the turn of the year of 2020-2021 that caused exports to collapse. On the one hand, the increase in household and bulky waste caused by the pandemic ensured that plant capacities in Germany and other EU countries were fully utilized. On the other hand, the effort and costs of RDF transports are likely to have increased due to Corona and especially due to Brexit. English RDF deliveries to the Netherlands have fallen the most in absolute terms compared to the peak periods. The country imported 408,000 tons of refused derived fuel, that's the long one for RDF, from England in 2021. That is 194,000 tons less than the previous year and even almost 1.2 million tons less than in 2016. A significant decline in RDF imports can be seen in 2020 in particular, which is largely due to the import tax on combustible waste introduced by the Netherlands at the beginning of 2020. Norfolk is an offshore area of the coast of England and has capacity for 3.6 gigawatts of wind power capacity. Vattenfall wants to build between 180 and 312 turbines there, divided into 2 projects. The Swedish group had already received approval for Norfolk Boreas, and now the sister project Norfolk Vanguard has also been approved by the British government. However, the decision came too late for Vattenfall to submit the project to the current contracts for difference auction. Nevertheless, attempts will be made to move forward with the plans, including in close cooperation with local communities and the supply chain. Vattenfall calculates that the first green electricity could arrive on land in the mid-2020s. In purely mathematical terms, the 3.6 gigawatt capacity should supply around 3.9 million households with green energy every year, thereby saving 6 million tons of CO2 emissions per year. The British government in turn wants to have installed at least 40 gigawatts of offshore capacity in the North Sea by 2030. There's new trouble for the British royals. The London police are investigating allegations against a former close associate of the heir to the throne, Prince Charles. As the Metropolitan Police announced on Wednesday, there are reports that a man from Saudi Arabia has been offered awards and British citizenship in return for donations. Documents from an internal investigation by the Prince's Foundation were the reason for the investigation, the police statement said. Several British newspapers reported last year that Michael Fawcett, the then executive director of the foundation and a friend of Prince Charles, had pledged to support a Saudi businessman in his quest for knighthood and British citizenship in exchange for donations. The newspapers refer to an alleged letter from Fawcett in 2017. Fawcett resigned as chief executive after the disclosures. The foundation launched an investigation. The palace said at the time that Charles fully supported the internal investigation, but denied any involvement of the heir to the throne. The Prince of Wales was not aware of the alleged offer of awards or British citizenship based on donations to the charities, a source said on Wednesday from Clarence House, that's the home of Prince Charles and Duchess Camilla. A foundation spokesman declined to comment, citing the ongoing investigation. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has sought to inject some of his signature panache into the already burgeoning Australia-British relationship by touting new initiatives and investments in a phone call with Scott Morrison on Thursday morning. Ahead of his video call with Morrison, he announced a new £25 million program to help Indo-Pacific countries face cyber, maritime and hostile threats. And he announced some high-profile investments flowing between Australia and the UK, including renewable energy investor Octopus and property firm pact. The two leaders discussed common defense and security issues, Johnson said, as well as technology cooperation. This could be an indication of the efforts of the two countries to work with Washington to flesh out the AUKUS agreement, particularly with regard to the what, when and how of a possible delivery of nuclear submarines to Australia. With UK-EU trade declining, Johnson is keen to highlight the potential benefits of the free trade deal with Australia. However, his own government estimates that it will add just 0.08% to Britain's GDP by 2035. There have been 3 cases of Lassa fever in the UK in the past week. One patient died on Friday, and now the sad news arrived. According to information from the BBC, the patient was a newborn baby. The child was one of the 3 confirmed people who were infected after a trip to West Africa. The child passed away at Luton and Dunstable Hospital last week. Hundreds of employees there and at Addenbrooke's Hospital in Cambridge were subsequently identified as potential contacts. Those affected must isolate themselves for 14 days and not have contact with patients for 21 days, according to the BBC from an email to employees. The neonatal unit at Luton and Dunstable Hospital was also closed to new admissions. After the 3 cases became known in Great Britain, the NHS East of England spoke of a regional serious incident. The family from East England is one of just 10 cases of Lassa fever ever discovered in the UK. There hasn't been a single case since 2009. Lassa fever is an infectious disease common in West Africa. According to the Robert Koch Institute, 7 cases of the disease have been reported here in Germany, for example, since 1974, 6 of them imported. About 1 to 2% of those infected with Lassa die. Employers in the UK are having to dig deeper and deeper to attract new employees. This applies to both permanent and temporary employees, according to a study by the Recruitment and Employment Confederation, the REC, and the London-based auditing and consulting firm KPMG. The 400 interviewed recruiters indicate that the number of vacancies is increasing. They see the lack of qualified staff, the relaxation of the pandemic measures, rising living costs, and growing confidence in the economy as reasons. If you want to attract the best candidates, you have to raise wages, said the study's authors. And the competition is hot. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.